Welcome everybody. I think what we'll do is we'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes. I can see people are starting to pour into the webinar. We're up to 15, 16 people now. So we'll just give it maybe 1 minute for a few more people to join and then we'll make a start. Okay, I think we've seemed to have stabilized now with everybody having joined. So welcome to this webinar today. My name is Tom Peace. I'm the host of the webinar. I run a company called The Loyalty People. For those of you that aren't aware, we are a strategic consultancy who provide clients with strategy related to loyalty, CRM, and customer engagement. We also run a community and we like to provide lots of interesting content, of which this forms a very crucial part. Today, we're going to be going through this webinar here, introducing both Snipp and iPledge. And the topic of this webinar is powering ESG from the ground up. And I'm really pleased to bring this to the community because this is a fascinating topic. I'm really pleased to have Mario and Chris here with us today to explain this. And this is a real genuine innovation that is going to revolutionize the way that brands can engage with ESG considerations through loyalty. So first of all, before we go into the introductions, I would just say that we do have a Q&A session going on today. So on your menu bar, you'll be able to click on Q&A and ask any of us any questions. If you have a question specific to a person, please put our name in the question. Otherwise, just if it's a general question, just answer it. We will have time at the end of the webinar to answer those questions. If we do run out of time, we will get back to you by email, don't worry. So please just let your questions come in using the Q&A button on your menu. Okay, that's logistics over with. I'd like to introduce you to our panel now. So Mario, please could you give us an introduction to yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for the introduction and organizing this webinar. Thank you, everybody attending here. Yeah, Mario, working as a VP of the EMEA operation in Snipp Interactive. My goal is running the global business here in EMEA. To what regards to this session, in my last 13, 14 years, actually, I would say now, I spent my entire business life within the loyalty business. I've been supporting 2 or 3 major MarTech company to grow up their business here in EMEA, and then again, joining Snipp. So I had the pleasure to discuss from UK down to South Africa, passing within many, many countries in Europe about loyalty program, engagement program. I also had a nice window of 9 months working within a brand, within a end client to support the program that I was selling them and to land in production for a big sports apparel retailer with something like 650 points of sales. It was a nice one. Mm-hmm. Still working, overachieving target and goals every day on. So very happy about that.
Excellent.
And yeah, and now very pleased to be here with my new friend Chris, who I've been meeting a couple of years back, and really joining his vision, his project that I like him to, come on board and explain.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so if we could get an introduction from you, Chris, and also please do explain to us how this amazing innovation came about.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mario. My name is Chris Armstrong. I'm the founder of the iPledge platform and the third account, and I'll make the explanation between the two later. But I'm a physicist by background, and this project is really about giving back and how we fix some of the major problems in the world. So it's a huge global opportunity, which we see loyalty as the core. The iPledge company is based in Ireland, and it's a wealth management platform. But unlike banks, where you have wealth managers focusing on your economic value or wealth, we see a huge opportunity and a gap that they don't cover our customers, our clients' environmental and social well-being. So we identified this, that there must be a way of measuring this value that everybody has. And so we are reinventing ESG and philanthropy from the bottom up, and in the process create a new paradigm from citizens and businesses using our brand, the Third Account. So we want the Third Account for the third sector. And for anyone who doesn't know, and I'd say a lot of people don't realize, but the umbrella term for the whole charity, not-for-profit, environmental sector is called a third sector, just like fintech is the sector for financial services. So we want to be positioned as the Third Account, exclusively dedicated to this sector. So that's what we're about today, and we are hoping that we will demonstrate the value that we can bring to banks, our partners, and to businesses, especially with loyalty brands, that Third Account inside can co-brand with those brands and businesses. Okay. How this came about was my daughter invited me on weekend to collect money by going into the retailers and packing bags for their customers, who kindly threw some money and change into a bucket. Mm-hmm. And over the course of the few hours every day for the weekend that I actually stood there with the bib on, what triggered the eureka moment was the staff kept on asking their customers, "Do you have a loyalty card? Do you have a loyalty card?" To the point where I was quite deaf by the repeat and how they managed to keep pushing this brand of loyalty. I went home and Googled the Red Cross, because we've been collecting money for the local basketball club. And I discovered, to my horror and incredible, that the Red Cross have 97 million members registered globally. 17 million of them are active. And nobody in the sector had a loyalty brand service. One of the best known brands in the world had no loyalty between its followers or its members. And I thought, wow, we have to fix this. And that brought me into the journey to how do we fix this? People are anxious to fix this problem. They're looking for there's a lot of talk and hot air, but actually our vision is that we have a solution. And we have a solution with Mario and Snipp to make this a global brand and a global solution. So
wow. That sounds great. So let's get into how you're going to do that, because this sounds really fascinating.
Well, the next slide, it was last Saturday morning. I saw this slide. I saw this at the G20 just last Saturday morning on the TV on CNN, and it's only 10 seconds long, but it sums up the call to action that we are about to bring a solution to.
And who is this guy? This is the head of the UN.
This is the man who is urging everybody. He is the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres.
Okay, let's have a listen quickly.
I have come to the G20 with a simple but urgent appeal. We cannot go on like this. We must come together and act together for the common good.
Excellent.
And this is the ethos that we believe that the Third Account will empower with people.
Apologies. Go on. Keep going, Chris. Apologies.
No. That is the mission that we will execute. So we will turn his words, and we will help people and businesses to fulfill their empowerment that will meet those goals that the UN have called to action that he's asking for.
Okay, so good. So a bit of background then. So we do know, as loyalty professionals, myself, I do find that when I'm talking to brands about loyalty strategy, or even just customer strategy, a wider customer strategy, ESG considerations are becoming much, much more important to loyalty. many brands are looking at this as a way to not only acquire, but also to engage their customers. Mario, I know you've got a lot of experience in loyalty through your work with Snipp, and are you finding the same sort of thing within the conversations that you're having?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, as we all see, Chris is super passionate and expert within the ESG business. Actually, my role is kind of linking loyalty to ESG and why loyalty can support ground up new way Chris is envisioning for the ESG. So as first, I would say, as a loyalty expert, I'm talking about you, not about me, Tom, we have to consider every day, every week, every month on new way for supporting our existing or fueling new loyalty program. Is a continuous evolution, right? That we have to match, we have to consider, we have to understand, and logically discuss it with our partners, prospects, and clients.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I've been at least 3-4 years, and even more passing through the bad time of the pandemic. I was reading analysts saying more and more that specifically the youngest people, but not only, they will be really much more interested to dialogue, to interact, to engage, to be part of a loyalty program for brands, for enterprises who are starting matching their needs of doing something for the sustainability process. So all the time we discuss with our brands how to attract as many members as possible. Beside the quality of the product, it is 100% up to them, nothing to do with loyalty techniques. And so I would say linking loyalty techniques, elements, content with the ESG clean and transparent discussion Chris is talking about, the iPledge team is talking about, it becomes for sure a significant fuel for the new loyalty discussion. And when we talk about being personal with a specific segment, being contextual, being relevant to a specific set of people, to be like this for Gen Z people, ESG is absolutely a fantastic matter to be brought into the loyalty program.
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, it is becoming a lot more important. And it is quantifiable, right? Like it is clear that you will need to you will need to invest in ESG considerations, but there is a very clear benefit to that for the consumers and for your business in terms of
for the business. Yeah.
In terms of your fiscal performance and also the amount of customers you grow and that you retain. Yeah,
let me tell you a little bit a story. A couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I was invited to attend a sustainability day of a big enterprise manufacturing. I cannot disclose the name and the vertical, headquartered in Italy, but with global operation wherever. So it was the sustainability day. And the major actor, the major chairman of the event was the chief executive officer. And after him, the chief financial officer, even before presenting what to me was a new role, the chief sustainability officer, who for the relevancy of the sustainability discussion for that company, got a seat into the board member. Now, the CFO was talking for 1/3 of the day about the fiscal performances and the fiscal added value for that company to play transparently and cleanly ESG goal and target for its company. So absolutely, and the people with me in the meeting room where this event happened, I was recognizing few bankers, few financial institutions to come and listen to be eventually one of the next investors of such a big company. So this is proof by example, not by my talking, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Perfect. Okay. That brings us nicely on to the ESG goals, the SDG goals from the UN. So Chris, I know that this is something very close to your heart. So why don't you take us through quickly these how important these goals are and how iPledge and the third account aligns?
So this is where we reinvent ESG. So ESG up to now, forgive me, but we would say that it's become politicalized in certain countries, in certain states, and it's not a healthy thing. So our goal is to empower people from the bottom up. And the way we've done this is we're working with the UN, and the section within the UN that is responsible for these 17 Sustainable Development Goals is called the UNDP, or United Nations Development Program. There's about over 17,000 people worldwide across 170 countries, and their goal is to get private capital funding and government backing into these 17. And we see the loyalty channel as a way of empowering customers and businesses to do the same and fulfill these goals. So we are working with the UNDP to find a way to make sure that the funds do get to 100% to these goals, and that the feedback and the data, there's proof and there's no greenwashing, and that people have trust. So rather than us saying it, our members from the ground up will trust that the UN actually can see it and verify it. So this is important for the success of everyone, to have trust in the brands. And businesses and banks would be part of this engagement. So that's a big flag for us.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, actually. And it takes us nicely onto the next slide, actually, because this is all about transparency. And I know from my experience working with brands that maybe a few years ago, brands would kind of jump on the environmental or the sustainability bandwagon and actually get quite badly burned if there wasn't some credibility behind those claims. Not necessarily within a loyalty strategy, but just generally within a brand strategy. If they make claims that aren't provable, or if they have a solution on one hand which conflicts with their brand messages elsewhere, that can really be a problem. And and rightly so, you must be extremely credible and transparent and authentic, as this slide shows. And I think the UNDP and the 17 Sustainability Development Goals are real proof that you've got that credibility, right? And that's why you're aligning to those.
Correct. And I think as well, if you have an independent, for the first time with the third account, it's the data, the transparent, independent, verifiable, auditable data that's tamper-proof, that is the key here, so that everybody can trust, from regulators, bankers, central bankers, individuals, brands. And once you have that, you have trust.
Perfect.
And let me very quickly, Tom, decline the same concept of trust and transparency within the typical loyalty discussion brands are having with members, right? So when we talk about one of the main points of a loyalty program being for the enterprise, gather data of the end client, of the consumer, understanding who are they, what they buy, what they be able, et cetera, I will never do any of this if I do not put trust on the brand I'm talking to, I'm sharing the data, I'm visiting, I'm connecting, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe that the transparency and the trust is working both ways. For increasing the sense of trust within the loyalty program, and to use the trust of a loyalty program to give food from the ground up new ESG philosophy Chris is talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Okay. So I think the last slide in this particular section, I think, is all about how this really has to be a long-term thing. It's difficult for a brand to switch and change once they have aligned themselves to a particular sustainability target. It's difficult for brands to move across and do other things. And that means that brands really have to be very careful and very thought through of which campaigns or which charities, partners, etc., they're actually going to align with. So talk to us, Chris, a little bit about how the third account could help in that manner, because it offers a great deal of flexibility, right?
Yeah, it does, because with third account, projects, it's not just charity schools or environment. What you want is real projects that brands can engage with, because discoverability in that sector. What happens today is that only the major brands get the attention of these corporates. They don't go down into the local communities or even the national in some cases, because they don't trust the organization. They have no confidence in them. But if we bring these, feel like, credibility and the trust that whatever they do in wherever they work with their customers, that they can add that comfort factor. So the CFO knows that their funds are going to causes that are aligned to them. They can discover causes they never knew existed. Their staff can engage in these campaigns. So it's this discoverability, and that building the trust between the customers, the staff members are empowered to support these campaigns, and that fosters the great loyalty. And that's one of the big things that we bring to the table.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talk about employee benefits and employees being a key member of the loyalty, because that is the subject of our next slide, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and that is all about how it's so important, not just that the customer or the member of the program is aligned to the sustainability goals for that business, but actually it's to do with the employee as well. And the employee really has to be the first member, if you like, of any program. They've got to be a key stakeholder. They've got to be the first person to recommend and sell the benefits of the program. And to your point, Chris, that means that the type of person you want to employ is very likely to be aligned to the type of sustainability goals that you promote as a business, right?
Correct. And the young Gen Z, they're being very particular about that. They only want to work for companies that align to these goals.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can help them find these companies and show show companies that they can impart this value all along the value chain. So it's from the top executive down to the last employee. Yeah, and it's bringing everybody. So it's not just the top 1% at the boardroom that gets engaged. Everyone in the whole organization, as Mario said, the CFO right down to the cleaners, everyone sees the value and sees what's happening. And if Joe Bloggs goes and does something in the local community, the company have a means of tracking and measuring that. We call this a badge of honor. The third account becomes like a gold member can become a badge of honor for the staff.
Exactly, and I think it's that flexibility comes in again, doesn't it? And Mario, you'll perhaps be able to comment on this, but it's really important these days within a loyalty program to give people the choice, right? People like choice now. They want multiple places to use their points. They want multiple ways to earn their air miles, etc. And this platform would give people the choice, the employee, the choice of the kind of brands that they wanted to support.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 comments here on this slide. So longevity of the loyalty program and giving more chances to members to define where to play their own value in respect to whatsoever loyalty program they're in. So in the same event I was discussing before, there was a huge discussion about how the chief sustainability officer was implementing inside a company a program with goals, with target, with reward for employees to become the word of their sustainability process. Because at the end of the day, is your team, are the people who are talking to the distributor, to the sales, to the channel, to the buyer, to the vendor. So they have to be part, they have to agree, and they become advocate of the initiative. And related to giving more chances to people to, let's say, play their loyalty, one of the major elements in discussion of loyalty program, to which I kind of disagree, but that's Mario's point, is CFO can get nervous if a given loyalty program comes with a too big liability.
Yeah,
the program is working so well from the earn standpoint, let's say, that there's a lot of point or metrics value that can be accrued, can be asked by the member once together, creating, some kind of financial issues to the company. Now, there are many ways of sorting these issues out, but one of these is including the long-term vision of sustainability project within your loyalty program. Let your member, your client to burn their point, their liability, their matrix, whatsoever, give them you like, for being part and giving the voice to the ground up ESG process, exactly as Chris is saying. So that's a very good effect back to Mr. Miss CFO on his or her balance sheet to limit the liability of the billions of unused points that we have worldwide in all the loyalty program.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next slide then. So Chris, I think you're going to take us through just a few slides now, summarizing the opportunity and then talking to us about how this will work.
I don't want to overdo the stats on this, but this is why we're partnering with Snipp and the need out there. To be fair, look at the American giving last year in 22 was $500 billion, $500 billion. 64% of that came from individuals. 9% came from corporates. So as Mario just said, the corporates have to play a bigger role. But in this case, in our model, what's really stands out about the third account is they can play that role and get value back. It has to be a win-win. They can increase the amount of, if you like, sustainability through this and bring up that number so as to show the world what they're giving back. The other thing here about consumers will stop buying from companies. Roughly 76% have said that they would stop if there was a negative feedback on they're not doing what they said, if they were greenwashing. And this can affect up to 60% of profits of companies that are caught. It's a huge impact on the CFO or a future quarter or long term of the brand. And 88% stats say that customers are more loyal for companies that align to these values and support them, especially Gen Z, the future Gen Z and Gen Alpha, who are really, really focused on this. My daughter won't fly. She'll take the train and a bus rather than, now she can when she's in Europe, but she will go through that. That's the generation we're dealing with now, and they want this solution. And the UNDP have basically identified that $12 trillion a year can be generated from these 17 SDGs, creating over 300 million jobs. Now, robots don't create jobs. They don't sell, they don't consume. AI don't consume. So by giving what you, if you like here, this is a great example of you give back and you will get. So the companies that do support this, that money goes back in for them to create future sales and future purchases of their customers. And the whole point of this, one of the big things that we're able to do with the third account is we're offering to bring $4 billion or euros to support the ENS funding, the environmental and social funding, with the loyalty with purpose. So we will add loyalty with purpose inside loyalty brands over the next 3 to 4 years, worth 4 billion euros. Now, we'll do that through our customers, with our banks, with retailers who hopefully will co-match us. And this incentivizes the project as we go forward out the gates. So if those early adopters come with us, they will get the benefit of this to their customers, and we'll actually show them this works.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Let's talk about how this works in practice. So Mario, maybe you could lead us off here and talk to us about how Snipp will actually empower this within the marketplace.
I mean, The genesis of the discussion we had with iPledge and our new friend Chris was, I believe, started a couple of years ago. And we were discussing at that time about an idea, vision, even if Chris got already very clear in his mind what to do and what he wanted to do, but was a vision. So I presume one of the first aspects Chris was looking to within a company to deal with was to share the same vision and to share the same kind of long-term idea to build something that was really innovative. We just got a question now that I'd like to take while I'm replying. And the question is, if you don't mind, Tom, I don't want to disrupt the flow, but actually comes very close to the discussion here. The question is about if we believe that sustainability project in loyalty will be just ESG related or will be a traditional program, including ESG reward with the typical standard reward. Actually, it's very early to say. I presume the best idea is to have a combination, because you're going to be matching the standard traditional low-term quick reward and benefit for the one who want to cherry pick and and are kind of more driven by such kind of return, but also using within the same program some long-term vision. And so being able to apply for medium long-term initiative within the loyalty program that you are attending, thanks to third account, to support ESG initiatives. At least this, I believe, is my comment. Good or wrong, I believe is my.
No, I think you're right. I think ESG is becoming more and more important, but it's not for everyone. Not all your loyal customers will be energized and motivated by sustainability goals. So you have to have it as a mix within other traditional loyalty metrics, I think. Yeah.
And then to keep going, replying a bit about why we partner with iPledge, it's clear why we are partnered with iPledge. I'm saying why iPledge is partnering with Snipp. So Chris was looking for package to being able to implement every potential feature and function within the loyalty program. And actually we do that, as many of the other are doing. We might say we do better than other, but that's not really the point. I believe one of the major points is the system has to be robust, has to be reliable. Actually here, I mean, I'm more conservative than Chris, but the number you see, I don't know if it's a starting point, but for sure, sooner than later, the third account being able to integrate with as many direct, brand-driven, independent loyalty program might be talking about tens and hundreds of millions of members for sure. Right. And so you really need a platform capable to manage that and to being able to support the workload that will be coming when the full architecture will be in place. Mm-hmm. And this is triggering me the other point, that is interoperability, flexibility. I mean, in the next slide, I hope Chris will try to hide a bit the underlying complexity of what we're building together by use case.
Let's get into that now. So the next slide really is the one that I'm looking forward to, because this is where, Chris, maybe you can talk to us about how this actually works for a loyalty brand. So talk to us here about how the third account inside becomes part of the loyalty process.
Yeah, thank you. I think the first thing to say is that just highlight our mission, and that is to simply enable and empower you and the customers to amplify their social and environmental impacts in the most compliant and tax efficient manner, and I should say auditable manner. And what our goal is to become the third account, to become the global affinity brand for UN SDG projects, all 17, so that businesses and customers can make the investment in those 17 and become sustainable all across the globe, in every country in the world, along with our friends in the UN. And that's a partner. It's a partnership that we want to cultivate and bring the monies from everybody, including those people, not everybody in this should say, but those who want to. So by co-branding, by operating inside like a Dolby or an Intel inside, I think you call it the ingredient brand. So we would work with banks, we would work with any loyalty program, and Snipp, fortunately, one of the reasons we chose Snipp is because they have relationship with some of the top global brands in the world, and we feel their security and trust of those brands have in Snipp gives us the confidence and the confidence of our backers that allow us to go forward together. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, so that's one of the ways we see this is a partnership with the third account inside to represent all SDGs and enable them. So the next slide really is how we use the Snipp technology inside to make this happen.
Okay, yeah, let's do that then. Let's jump to that.
So, so the first thing you say is that how members, anyone, it's free to activate. The third account is free and it's controlled by via your app. You can link it to your bank account, and members can actually deposit funds from their account to the third account to support their ENS, environmental and social impacts. Now, we believe and estimate that a member could pick up between 10 euros and 1,000 euros worth of new funds dedicated to environmental and social impacts each year, simply because today it's all missed. It's like having a barrel under the roof, and as the water comes off, you collect it. Well, today there's no barrel to collect that water, and all this money is going to waste. So we believe that members and brands, businesses, sponsors, government, philanthropists will put that money through these members to show them that this is amplifying their own impacts, as well as the monies from their own accounts. So banks, businesses can actually see this co-matching effect. And this results in customers having more funds to support their own charities, schools, and these 17 UN SDGs. Yeah, and that's the ability of a global branded loyalty program inside everyone.
I see. So a loyalty brand could engage with this, and a member of that loyalty brand would have the option to then select, I don't know, it would give them the option to say, oh, I want to donate my points to the third account. And when they click on that, they have all the different options globally, and they can choose, they have the flexibility to choose which one they want to donate to.
And it's personalized. The next slide is that personalization, which is important. So here is the ecosystem. So you can see the yellow is the third account, and surrounding the third account, there's a green box, which is your environmental. So you have 3 sub-accounts when you activate your third account. You have an environmental impact account, a social impact account, and a governance. Now, the environmental is designed to store any funds that you want to put into the 10 SDGs, the 10 SDGs that are relevant to the environment. And any monies you put and you want to give to charities or schools go into your social. So people can actually see that these are the 2 routes. And the data from those 2 transactions that you make are all held in the governance. And that's the most important account afterwards. At the end of each week, what we've done is we have worked with the UN and fund managers, and we've put together a fund called the Global Impact Fund Trust, called the GIFT. So every member in the world will get access to this GIFT. And the GIFT is made up, if you go to the next clip, it'll bring in the 10. And inside that GIFT, at the beginning of every year, this is the personalization effect. Your loyalty member will have the choice of actually picking these 10, and you can see the weighting under each one. They can change this. You can see where good health and well-being is 17, affordable clean energy is 9%. So they can make, now they're empowered. Now the Gretas and the young people who feel helpless and what can we do? That call to action. Well, now you have a way of doing it, and you're doing it through your loyalty brand. Mm-hmm. They're giving you this gateway, the gateway to the SDGs. And these investments, then, if you like, these 10 micro funds, they invest the money to fulfill the needs And the investments provide money to fund to businesses, to projects that actually align with those goals. And this is where the UNDP will oversee that this is real. The returns, it looks to generate a market return, but the money, the return goes back, the dividend is a social dividend. That now drives money back into the customer's social impact account, the giving account. And at the end of each year, whatever monies pro rata you own, you have, they're up to you now to give onto any of your choice of charities or not-for-profits or schools. So here is the social dividend from going green, from being loyal, and from loyalty generates the value add. And all of the data then is available to collect the tax. And if you click the next slide, next overlay, you'll see the social part is the 7. The next 7 are covered under the social impact or the charitable side. And the first 10, and that makes up the full 17 that the UN demand us fund. And these can be matched with governments, with philanthropists, with foundations. And so brands now can be the amplifier. They actually can show, and the data is there for the brand to see what their customers are interested in. So they actually know this money went to good causes, and it all went. We don't take any money, our model, we do not take any money from these causes. How we earn money is we help these brands with the data collect the tax rebates. And as a result, we take small piece of that tax only to actually operate the model. And it's quite enough to do that. And we aim the third account to become the global brand that symbolizes SDG data, trusted data all over the world. In any country that's of one of those 170 countries that our friends, the UNDP, operate in today.
Okay, right, excellent. Let's move on to the next slide. I think this really is a summary of everything we've talked about so far. So you go ahead, Chris. I might chip in as well.
So as Mario alluded to, there's a huge financial benefit for loyalty with purpose. So we call, if you like, the third account, the loyalty with purpose engine. And actually, if you can allow your customers or brand customers to switch some of their existing contingent liability points or rewards into the third account, you at a discounted rate, you actually improve the balance sheet, help the banks. The banks will love it, investors will like it. And you're also fulfilling your ESG requirements because we can now prove it. And along with the UNDP, we can actually show you the report in live. As well as that, as that money is being spent, you don't have to find new money. That's legacy money. It's sitting on your balance sheet that'll help you, especially overcome the compliance that's going to hit people in Europe, especially under this new EU CSR directive that comes in 2025. So, in fact, brands now won't have this hit. If they use the third account, they can actually offset some of that cost. That's a huge benefit. And compliance to show that they're genuine. They can use this data for regulators. We can leverage the loyalty with purpose funds to identify and identify customers that are actually interested. As Mario said, it's not for everyone, but the ones that are interested, these are the ones that will target. So you've got identifiable customers and you have the data, you know what their interests are, you know the staff, you know from this, who to spend the future loyalty, maybe increase that loyalty from budget if it's working. Increase the awards so that funds from across the other marketing budgets could be transferred in. So if you found the there's one really good thing here. You will not get people accepting the third account funds unless they engage and they accept the engagement. So businesses won't lose money. They're guaranteed they'll get that engagement if their customers accept this. And it stops the greenwashing with the SDGs and the UN in the background. You have that comfort for a brand and the member, governments as well, regulators. one of the last ones is quite unique. Let's imagine you have a third account today, and you are at a big event that, say, for example, I take Heineken, and they're a sponsor. Today, Heineken have no choice but to write the check or send that money to the headquarters of the organization that they sponsor. However, if the customers have a third account, and you know that current account cannot be used for personal use, it can only be used to transfer to make your impacts. Well, the brand now, the sponsor, can actually push some funds into loyalty, create this loyalty with purpose, and actually dictate their terms and say, we will say pass 100% on to the sponsoree. The customer now is engaged in that process. In fact, maybe some brands could decide we'll let 80% of the money go to the top, but we'll empower the 20% of our sponsorship budgets at a national or a local level. So a local rugby club or a local football club can actually see some of that money flowing into the coffers because the brand is the sponsor. Now the brand gets that loyalty with purpose brand is really getting reward that they never could get before. And it's like they get grassroots customers. Now they know, Heineken know, these are the customers that's interested in their sport. That data is very valuable.
Mm. Yeah, okay, perfect. I mean, yeah, I think there's that piece about data which we haven't really talked about. We've talked about how it provides a lot of flexibility for the consumer to choose which charities and goals they want to back. It creates that massive credibility, which is essential for brands these days. It supports a high level of governance, and we've got this amazing tech solution to take it globally through Snipp Care. But you raise a good point there, is that that data is highly valuable, not only for the brand, but also for the charities, right? Because people will be able to, or the brands will be able to start to understand what people want to invest their charitable donations in, what their likes are, their requirements, their challenges, etc. So I think I'm glad you raised that point, yeah, because the data is extremely valuable, right?
And it's also important for empowering the young and the students and the unemployed, because they may not have a lot of money, and in these hard times, you're empowering, you're bringing everybody. It's an inclusive offer. So you're saying, well, people might build these habits. Gen Z, suddenly a student in college, they actually can identify early potential data points that align with the brands and build that relationship stronger.
Absolutely. Okay, well, listen, we are sort of encroaching now on question time. We've had a couple of questions in, I think, which we have answered. If you're out there and you have questions, please do type them into the Q&A. We'll carry on. I think we've just got 2 or 3, maybe 4 more slides. So we'll carry on. I know we're eating into the question time a little bit, but don't worry, put your questions in. If we don't have time, we will answer them by email afterwards. So let's move on. My mouse is not working for some reason. Whoop. So yeah, let's just quickly, Chris, if you wouldn't mind just quickly taking us through. I think you've mentioned some of these already, but there are 6 ways that a consumer can donate, right?
Well, it's not just the consumer. This is a general how we actually see funds flowing in, and this is really where, like I mentioned, the tank or the barrel under the under the pipe. It's missing today because there's nobody has offered. It's ironic, you know, banks looked after economic well-being, but they missed the environmental and social, which is now an opportunity for us to capture. And the first obvious way is self-loading. Individuals, families, foundations, they all can sign up and use this, rich or poor, and actually transfer funds efficiently and accountability wise. Businesses, as we've been talking, loyalty with purpose, the likes of Tesco and their blue disc, where they try and give people a disc at checkout, and it's very inefficient. It's an old-fashioned, but it does show they're genuinely interested in their community support. Here they can digitalize this in the form of the third account customers and switch some of their CSR budgets through their loyalty with purpose and find that as a way of loading funds into customers' account. Customers, when they pay, could actually tick when you pay, and sometimes they ask you, do you want to add money to this event? Well, how do you know that money is going? Wouldn't you rather make sure the money goes into your third account, and then you oversee that that money is gone to the general cause that business might have offered you to support? So, and as customers take up this, we hope and expect that brands and with our large advertising and sponsorship budgets would switch some of their existing budgets. This is in a cost neutral way. So we're not asking them for new money. We're asking them for, this gives you better digital engagement with these customers, better awareness, and great tax break as well, I should have added. And these customers are going to guarantee them engagements. So there's some extra funds. And finally, the amount of tax unclaimed left behind by individuals in Europe last year was over 8 billion. That didn't include doesn't include the monies not claimed by charitable organizations. It could be another 3 to 4 billion. So we will pick up this kind of funds because of our efficiency of the platform, and both businesses will win and the consumers or citizens will win. And finally, the biggest of them all, once you can do this, the Bill Gates, where they make and the Warren Buffett, who have the pledge where they give money. Well, at the moment, nobody knows where this money goes. And governments are giving money without their citizens knowing. Multilateral development banks have a problem. And the big problem they have is they don't want to be the first, they can't be the first investor in a project in the SDG world. They need private capital to come in first. So as our members come in and put their own monies in, it allows these to be co-matched or maybe multiple matched by multiple different groups. And we are expecting at the outset, up to 100 billion could be co-matched by these partners who are actually putting this money to today, but it's not actually seen by the citizens. For example, I'll finish on this. In the UK, the FTSE 100 companies last year, there was a survey done by the YouGov organization, which is a reputable marketing agency. And they asked the public, the citizen, Joe Bloggs in the street, how many of these 100 companies do you think gives back? And the answer that the public gave was 34 of the 100 gave back. The answer, 94 of the top 100 FTSE companies give back, 94. The public didn't know.
Yeah.
What they don't even know as well is the top 10 of that 94 gave £2 billion.
Wow.
Or 2.5% of their net profits. Tesco and a number of the big pharma groups and a number of retailers, Glencore, they actually are quite generous, yet nobody sees it, nobody knows. And on average, the 94 in the UK, which is a nice achievement, they give 1% of their net profits. But what's the point in giving all this money at your shareholders and writing a note in your report when in fact your customers, your shareholders included, and your staff could have seen this happen through their third account? And it's a huge missed opportunity to do loyalty with purpose, which we see.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. So what next? I understand you're looking for some trial, but it's very limited availability.
Yeah, now this is the opportunity where now we actually are executing this. And what we're looking for is 10 global brands, global companies to come together over the next 5 years, a long-term commitment to support third account inside, loyalty with purpose, commencements in Q1 of 2024, and to help us, if you like, introduce this global world first to their customers in a controlled, trusted way, with the partners we've mentioned in the previous slides. And we're limited because we simply we want to make this will scale but we're making sure it scales with the right partners. So we would invite bank partners, we would have financial, we invite retail service companies across the spectrum. So that's the ideal mix. And this opportunity, hopefully after this, you and Mario will hopefully get some feedback, and we can share that to work with companies on this webinar.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely. So if you're out there and you're listening and you want more information, just get in touch with any of us and we will come back to you. Right, we are nearly at the end. I think we've got just one last slide, which Mario will take us through. In the meantime, guys, you have 5 minutes to put any further questions into the Q&A on your menu bar. So please do let us know any questions that you might have, and we will answer them now or get back to you later. Mario, do you want to just sum up how Snipp Care supports this? And I think we're at the end.
Yeah, so before that, thank you everybody again. Thank you, Tom, to organizing. Thank you, Chris, to be part of this, and happy to being able to give you the voice to explain from your voice directly what is your ESG program with iPledge. As we say before, global execution, modularity, flexibility, as you see, has to be relevant. We talk about so many members, we talk about so many interactions, so many transactions to get managed. And we are actually landing with a platform who can link third parties' existing loyalty program to get use and to consume the third account. So that's not logically restricted to company running loyalty with Snipp, but Snipp will be the kind of bridge in between existing loyalty program, if any, logically there's many, and the loyalty, the third account and the iPledge architecture you saw before from Chris' voice. Yeah. And happy to say that also product company might be very interested here. We already executed some kind of very nice and well done samples of promotion and rebate program where consumer were offering their co-owned liability to some charity organization, mostly in the United States and Canada, and asking the company to do the same. And actually the company was matching, or as Chris was saying, were double matching or triple matching that kind of investment coming from the ground up from the membership population. So we know this is going to be working. Now with the third account is more than the, an independent promotion for a given period, for a given brand, but an enterprise of manufacturing can attend such a journey and then deciding which brands, which out of the 17th pillar of the SDG Chris was showing, they like to support using the power of their loyalty, the loyalty program, using the power of the loyalty member.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is an opportunity for any brand. It could be a manufacturing brand, sports, music. It's not just for retailers and banks, which I think was perhaps some of the examples that we used, maybe grocery. But actually, this could be applicable for any brand. It's a very, very clever technology and a very forward-thinking strategy. And just to sum up, I think this is an amazing opportunity for any brand. If there are any brands on the call today that want more information and would like to consider the trial, then please do get in touch and we will arrange meetings with Chris to start that process off. There is limited availability though on that trial. As Chris said, we're looking at maybe 10 brands to commit to this over 5 years. So don't hesitate, please do get in touch. We can start those conversations off. And really, just to summarize this opportunity, I mean, what we've basically seen here is that this will really turn the way that we deal with ESG goals or SDGs on its head. This is a revolutionary approach, which will be much more visible to customers and a lot more valuable, and it gives them flexibility. And it creates an enormous amount of credibility because of the backing of the UNDP. It also supports a very high level of governance and there is an amazing tech solution behind it, which will take it global and will be able to integrate with any brand. And the last, of course, which Chris did mention, is the availability of the data. So yeah, so that's a good, I think, hopefully a good summary of where this goes. We are now at time, but any further questions, please do put them quickly. I'll stay on the call just for a few minutes if you want to add any more questions. But other than that, thank you very much to everybody that has attended. And also a massive thank you to Mario and Chris for presenting today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, I will, I don't know if there's any more questions coming in, so everybody may leave. I will stay on the call just for a couple more minutes to make sure there aren't any more questions. But other than that, thank you very much for coming, and we'll speak to you all again soon.
There was one question about some takeaway, but I believe that you were summarizing a bit of takeaway.
Yeah, I think that was
your
really
closure.
my response to that question, actually. Yeah.
That what I saw. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, guys. I will close the call down now, but hope you all enjoyed it, and let us know if you have any further questions.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chris. Stay in touch. Talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.